My Republika, 3rd of October 2023, has Nepal lost interest in the cross-border railway network with China engulfed in debt? According to China, people want to be free, which constructed, supported, and utilized the Communist Party in Nepal to overthrow the country's democratic government. Following a week-long official visit to China, Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal came home on Saturday, capping an important diplomatic trip since taking office in December last year. Held at the invitation of his Chinese counterpart Li Qiang, the visit saw both countries participate in in-depth talks and negotiations on a wide range of issues, including trade, politics, economics, and cultural connections. Prime Minister Dahal noted that his visit to China went better than he had anticipated when he arrived in Kathmandu. He said an agreement was made to reopen all border crossings between China and Nepal that were open before the COVID-19 outbreak. Among the significant agreements made during this tour was the early construction of the 220 kV cross-border transmission line between Li Qiang, Rajwagadi, and Chilim. But it doesn't appear that the much-discussed transnational Himalayan train project, a component of the Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, was a significant topic of conversation during this visit. This prompts me to ask, has Nepal already lost interest in the China-Pakistan cross-border railway network? Inaugurated during Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli's visit to China in June 2018, the idea of a high-debt, high-cost cross-border railway network is part of the Trans-Himalayan Multidimensional Communication Network. It aims to improve communication between the two nations. As per the terms of this agreement, both countries have agreed to carry out pre-feasibility research with Chinese grants to bring the Trans-Himalayan Railway project to reality. As part of the Belt and Road Initiative, this ambitious 170-kilometer rail project will connect Jirong, in southern Tibet to Kathmandu, passing via the Rajwa region of Nepal. There are plans to extend the railway beyond Kathmandu. A deal was signed in 2019 during Chinese President Xi Jinping's visit to Nepal to start a feasibility study for building a cross-border railway between the two countries. A technical agreement was subsequently signed between the two countries in March 2022, during the visit of Chinese Foreign Minister and State Councillor Wang Yi to Nepal, to proceed with the feasibility study for the cross-border railway project with Chinese support. On December 27, 2022, 6 Chinese experts came to Kathmandu to start a feasibility study for the China-Nepal cross-border railway, marking a key milestone. This was a crucial step in bringing the leaders of the two nations' agreement to reality and turning Nepal from a landlocked country into one connected to the land. The China Railway First Survey and Design Institute Group is conducting a feasibility study funded by a 3.4 billion rupee grant from the Chinese government. Although the research has funding, negotiations are still going on over how to pay for the actual building of the railway. The joint statement released following the meeting between Prime Minister Dahal and his Chinese counterpart notes that both sides plan to hold the 8th working meeting on China-Nepal railway cooperation as soon as possible and expressed satisfaction with the status of the feasibility study of the Geelong/Kirong-Kathmandu cross-border railway. However, according to government sources, there is less chance that the project would proceed because the two nations cannot agree on its financial mechanism. The projected cost of the Kirong to Kathmandu railway project is approximately $5.5 billion, a substantial expenditure equivalent to Nepal's whole government revenue for 2018. Moreover, an initial feasibility study for the 72.5-kilometer stretch of the railway in Nepal is projected to cost approximately $2.75 billion. Experts say that without this project, which is crucial not just for the occupation of Nepal but also for the whole South Asian region, Nepal will not be able to interact with its neighbors, including China and India, two highly influential growing nations. According to reports, Nepal did not prioritize the Trans-Himalayan Railway project during Prime Minister Dahal's visit because of worries about taking out large loans, particularly when the nation's economy is struggling. Nepal is wary of taking on yet another high-interest, high-debt financial commitment with China since it is already struggling to make ends meet while repaying the Pokhara Regional International Airport loans. Nepal cannot finance the multi-billion-dollar cross-border railway project with China alone. We also don't have the resources to finance it with a loan. A senior government official, who wished to remain anonymous, stated that the cross-country railway project with China is unlikely to proceed unless the Chinese side indicates a willingness to construct it on a grant system. China's Exim Bank provided a 22 billion rupees credit to China for building the Pokhara Regional International Airport. The loan has an annual interest rate of 2%, deemed comparatively higher than the interest rates that multilateral donor organizations offer, which might go as high as 0.5%. China extended a loan for the development of the airport, with a 20-year term and a mid-September 2035 payback date. But during this time, the loan obligation has increased to more than 26 billion rupees. Nepal started paying back the debt in mid-March 2023, with monthly installments of $3.2 million. Chinese experts argue that concerns about a debt trap shouldn't prevent a significant Chinese enterprise. Infrastructure expert Dr. Surya Rajacharya stated that Nepal seems unsure of how to exploit its strong neighbors. Proactive planning, both at the political and bureaucratic levels, is conspicuously lacking when presenting Nepal's interests to these powerful nations, he said. This visit appears to be purely ceremonial, which suggests inadequate planning. Apprehensions have surfaced regarding the expenses associated with building railways and the possibility of Nepal falling victim to a debt trap in light of its present financial difficulties. Dr. Acharya, however, disregarded claims that Chinese-financed projects would result in debt traps. Western media propagates these stories, which are not to be believed at face value. This does not imply, however, that we should unquestioningly embrace every clause in the Belt and Road Initiative, BRI. We must proceed with prudence and carefully consider what is in Nepal's best interests, he continued. China is not Nepal's biggest creditor, as noted by Paras Karail, Executive Director of South Asia Watch on Trade, Economics, and Environment, Saudi. He underlines how crucial it is to consider loans from any source, provided that they align with Nepal's ability to repay them and do not impose unfavorable conditions compared to the benefits of development initiatives. Taking out loans from any source, be it China or another nation, requires caution. But it is not necessary to exercise additional caution and vigilance simply because the loans come from China, he stated. Dr. Karail further highlights that the BRI, in general, and the Trans-Himalayan Multidimensional Connectivity Network goes beyond railroads to include road connectivity. Road connectivity is and should be just as crucial as railroad connectivity. Urgent attention is needed to the terrible conditions of the two main and only highways that connect Kathmandu to the border crossings between Nepal and China at Rajwagati and Tadopani. There are places when vehicles can only travel on a single lane and are highly vulnerable to disruptions from mudslides, avalanches, and landslides.